Welcome back to the deep dive. Now, usually we are sprinting through tech trends, dissecting geopolitical shifts, or analyzing the latest market disruptions.
Right. We usually move fast.
We do. But today, we're, we're hitting the brakes. We're doing something a little different. A special edition we're calling the Fluent Mindcast.
That's right. Because the topic we're covering today doesn't really require speed. It requires headspace.
Headspace. I like that.
Yeah. We're looking at a whole stack of research, articles, and coaching notes on one specific and, let's be honest, often terrifying moment.
Oh, I think I know the one.
It's the moment someone in a meeting or an interview looks at you and says, "So tell us about your experience."
And you freeze.
A total freeze. The sources we looked at describe it as a specific type of cognitive overload.
That sounds about right.
It's because you aren't just trying to recall your history. You're trying to translate it, curate it, and polish it, all in real time. It's heavy.
It really is. It's like the difference between driving a car and trying to build the engine while you're driving it.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy.
So the mission today is to slow that whole process down. We aren't just giving you tips. We want to dismantle the pressure to be perfect. We really want to frame this deep dive not as a high-speed information dump, but as a calm, cozy listening guide.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this on your commute or maybe while you're washing dishes, just take a deep breath.
Yeah, really.
Relax your shoulders. This is a safe space for practice. The goal today is simply to learn how to talk about your life in your work using simple, natural English.
Clear ideas.
And everyday vocabulary.
And I want to set the expectation right now for everyone listening. We are deliberately avoiding complex grammar.
Yes.
We're avoiding the textbook stuff. We're going to look at how real professionals, how they actually speak.
Right.
But before we get into the how, I think we have to address the what. What is actually happening in our brains when that anxiety hits?
It's that feeling of intimidation. The research shows that when a non-native speaker is asked about their past, their professional history, their life story, they suddenly feel this need to justify their existence.
Wow. That's a strong way to put it.
But it's true. They feel they need to sound smart. And usually they equate smart with complex.
Which leads to the panic. You start worrying about past tense verbs, prepositions,
All the prepositions.
and all the specific technical jargon you think you're supposed to know.
And that is the exact moment where we lose the thread. So the promise we're making today is that we're going to strip all of that away.
Okay.
We'll introduce one idea at a time,
Yeah.
Background, responsibilities, challenges, growth.
Yeah.
And to everyone listening, please treat this as a workshop.
Yeah.
If you want to pause us, pause us.
Yeah.
If you want to repeat a phrase out loud, please do it. There is no pressure here, only practice.
Okay, let's jump in. The first pillar of our research today, this is what we're calling the mindset shift. And the source material makes a really interesting distinction here. It says, experience is a story, not a list.
This is huge. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably the most important idea we'll talk about today.
Why is it so foundational?
Because when most people start explaining their jobs, they default to what I call resume mode.
Right, bullet points.
Exactly. They treat their experience like a checklist of facts.
Yeah.
In 2015, I did X. In 2016, I did Y. I was responsible for Z.
It sounds robotic just hearing you say it, but
Why, Freddie?
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Then go for it.
Isn't a checklist efficient? If I'm in a job interview, don't they want the facts? Why is a story actually better?
That's a great question. And the reason is that the human brain is not wired to retain lists as facts. It's just not.
Okay.
There's a concept in cognitive science called neural coupling. And it's fascinating. When I tell you a story, even a simple professional story, your brain lights up in the same place as mine does.
So we're connecting on a neurological level.
We sync up. But when I give you a list, your brain just goes into processing mode and gets bored, and you tune out.
So by listing my accomplishments, I'm actually making it harder for the interviewer to remember me.
Precisely. You are drowning them in data when what you should be doing is inviting them into a narrative.
So the advice from the sources is to shift your focus.
Right. Shift from accuracy of every tiny detail to narrative flow. Focus on your actions and the results of those actions.
Okay, but I can hear a listener thinking right now, okay, stories are great, but stories require good English. Stories need adjectives and adverbs and all these fancy connectors.
The storytelling panic.
Exactly. If I'm going to tell a story, don't I need to sound sophisticated to be professional?
That is the single biggest myth in the book. And the sources are so firm on this. There is this common misconception that professional equals complicated.
But it doesn't.
Not at all. Actually, clarity is professional. Simplicity is professional.
I found a fascinating point in the notes about this, something called fluency heuristics. Can we unpack that? Because it sounds really technical, but the implication is actually, it's very simple.
It is. It's a fancy term for a simple psychological truth. If your speech is easy to process, the listener perceives you as more truthful and more intelligent.
Wait, really? Say that again? If I use simple words, people think I'm smarter.
Yes, because they understand you instantly. There's no friction. When you use those $10 words, like saying utilize instead of use or facilitate instead of help, you're actually creating cognitive friction.
Cognitive friction.
You're asking the listener to work harder to decode your meaning. And subconsciously, they resent it.
So when I'm desperately trying to sound smart with all these big words, I'm actually just annoying the person sitting across the table.
Or at the very least, you're confusing them. Think about the most effective leaders you know. CEOs, founders, great managers. They speak in headlines.
We grew revenue.
We solved the shipping delay. They don't hide behind syllables.
Okay, let's try to hear the difference. I want to give a realistic example of how a learner thinks they should sound versus how they should sound.
Great idea.
All right, here's the stressed learner version, trying to be impressive. Ready?
I'm ready.
I was predominantly responsible for the conceptualization and subsequent implementation of various multifarious protocols regarding data organization.
Okay, stop. My brain hurts.
Right.
I have to work so hard just to figure out what you actually did. You used conceptualization, implementation, multifarious. It sounds like you swallowed a thesaurus.
It feels heavy. It feels unnatural. Now, here is the Fluent Mindcast version, the simple, clear, professional version.
Okay.
I helped my team work better. We changed how we organize our data.
See? That hits differently, doesn't it?
Completely.
I helped my team work better. It's direct, it's confident, and most importantly, I know exactly what you did. You didn't hide behind the words. You stood on top of them.
So the big takeaway here is helping the listener understand your journey is the goal. It's not about showing off vocabulary.
Exactly. And this leads us directly into how you deliver that story. We need to talk about pacing and structure. Because even if you use simple words, if you rush them, you lose the entire effect.
Slow down to speed up understanding. That's the phrase I saw in the notes. But again, I have to challenge this a little.
Please do.
In many cultures, speed is associated with intelligence. Fast talkers are seen as sharp, quick-witted. If I speak slowly, won't I sound, I don't know, slow?
It's such a common fear. But let's look at the recruiter insight here. We have notes from dozens of them.
Okay, what do they say?
Overwhelmingly, recruiters and hiring managers prefer candidates who explain things calmly. A fast, frantic explanation often signals nervousness or disorganization.
It's like you're trying to get it over with.
It signals that you're trying to get through it before you make a mistake.
It's a defense mechanism. If I talk fast enough, they won't notice my bad grammar.
Exactly. But a slow, measured explanation signals control. It says, I know what I'm talking about, and I want to make sure you understand it too.
It's a sign of confidence.
It is. It gives your brain that split second it needs to find the right word, and, crucially, it gives the listener time to actually process what you are saying.
Okay, so slow down. But we can't just ramble slowly. We need a map. The sources mention a specific structural tool for this called the funnel.
I love the funnel. For anyone who feels like they don't know where to start, this is a lifesaver.
And what does it do?
It prevents you from explaining everything at once, which is completely overwhelming for the listener.
I think most people do an inverted funnel, don't they? They start with the tiny, tiny details and hope they eventually make a point.
We do. They start right at the bottom. Well, I was using the software, and the version was outdated, and my boss said.
And the listener is just sitting there thinking, wait, who are you? What is your actual job?
Exactly. So let's flip it. The funnel starts broad at the top, and then it narrows down.
Okay, so what are the steps?
It's 3 simple steps. Step 1, the headline. Just mention your main role or field.
Simple enough.
Step 2, the context.
Yeah.
Add your responsibilities or the general scope of your work.
Got it.
And step 3, the achievement. One specific result or project that acts as a hook.
Headline, context, achievement. I want to try this with a slightly more complex example. Let's say I'm a project manager with 10 years of messy, complicated experience in logistics. How do I funnel that?
Okay, great. Let's do it. Start at the wide top, the headline. Who are you right now?
I am a senior project manager specializing in supply chain.
Perfect. You've anchored me. I have a box to put you in my mind. Now move down the funnel to the context. Give me the scope.
Okay. For the last 5 years, I've managed shipping teams across 3 different countries.
See how that narrows it. I know the role, and now I know the flavor of the role.
Yeah.
You're international. You manage teams. Now bring it home. The bottom of the funnel, the hook. One specific result.
How about last year, we reduced shipping delays by 20% by changing our software.
Boom. There it is. In 3 simple sentences, you went from identity to scope to value.
And I didn't have to tell my whole life story.
You gave me a trailer for the movie. Now I'm interested, and I can ask you follow-up questions.
And culturally, especially in English-speaking environments like the US or the UK, this kind of linear top-down structure is really preferred, right?
It's essential.
Uh-huh.
The sources talk about English as a writer-responsible language.
What does that mean?
It means it's the speaker's job to make things clear, not the listener's job to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
By using the funnel, you are respecting the listener's cognitive load. You're doing the work for them.
It feels much less scrambling. You aren't trying to say, I'm a manager who did a project last year with a team in 3 countries. You're breaking it into these clean, bite-sized pieces.
And that idea of breaking it down brings us to perhaps the most difficult habit for learners to break.
Let me guess. The translation habit.
The translation habit.
Oh, the word-for-word struggle. I think everyone who has ever learned a language knows this pain. You have this perfect, complex, beautiful sentence in your native language, maybe it's German or Spanish or Japanese, and you try to drag it word by word into English.
And it almost never works. The syntax is different. The idioms are different. The rhythm is different.
Yeah.
If you try to translate a complex thought directly, you just end up with English soup.
English soup. I like that. So what is the fix? The notes say, think in ideas. What does that mean in practice?
Right. It means instead of asking yourself, how do I translate this specific sentence?
Yeah.
You ask a different question.
Which is?
What is the core idea I want the listener to understand about me right now?
So you're simplifying before you even start speaking.
Exactly. You're extracting the meaning.
Can we practice this? Let's say I want to explain a complicated situation where I had to negotiate a contract, but the other party was really difficult, but eventually we managed to sign it.
Right.
If I try to translate that directly, I'm going to get stuck on words like negotiate, parties, clauses eventually.
Correct. You'll get tangled up. So strip it down. What is the idea?
The idea is, it was hard, but I succeeded.
Right there. That's it.
Yeah.
So express that simple idea in simple English. The negotiation was difficult.
But in the end, we signed the contract.
Perfect. 2 simple sentences. The idea is communicated. It's like painting a picture instead of trying to solve a math equation. You are conveying the image, not the specific word.
And here is where we need to give everyone permission to do something crucial.
Yes.
Something that fluent speakers do constantly, but learners are terrified of.
Which is to pause.
The permission to pause. Why are we so afraid of silence?
We interpret silence as failure. We think, if I stop talking, they will think I don't know the English word. We feel this incredible pressure to fill every single second with sound.
But if you listen to native speakers, really listen to interviews with experts or even just people talking, they pause all the time.
All the time. They look up, they think, they say, they restart sentences.
The notes mention this as a curiosity, that even fluent native speakers often restart sentences midway through.
And it's not a mistake. This is so important. It is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of thinking.
So if you're in the middle of a sentence and you feel stuck because you can't translate that one specific word,
Stop.
just stop.
Pause. Take a breath. Go back to the idea. And then rephrase it simply.
That's actually a very advanced communication skill when you think about it.
It is. It shows you are in control of the conversation. A rushing speaker looks nervous. A speaker who pauses thoughtfully. They look thoughtful. They look confident.
I want to encourage our listener right now, if you're in a safe place, just try this. Think of one simple idea about your job. Just one. Don't worry about the perfect words yet. Just the core idea. Now say it simply. And allow yourself to pause before you speak.
And once you have that idea, you need to ground it. You need to make it concrete. This brings us to our next section. The power of examples.
Right. The sources say, don't just say, I have a lot of experience. Which is such a generic phrase, isn't it?
It's a nothing phrase.
It goes in one ear and out the other.
It's fluff. It doesn't mean anything. And the research on this is very clear. Human beings are wired for specific details. We remember examples and stories much, much better than general statements.
So instead of the general claim, describe a specific situation.
Exactly.
What's the structure for a good, simple example? Because we don't want to start rambling for 5 minutes.
No, short is better. It's the classic what, why, result formula. What did you do? Why did you do it? And what happened? Even a tiny 2-sentence story works.
Okay, let me try to apply this. Instead of saying, I am good at customer service, which is boring.
Boring and unproven. I don't believe you just because you say it.
Right. So instead, I could use this formula and say, last week, a client was unhappy with our product. That's the situation.
Okay.
Let's not listen to his problem for 20 minutes, and that's the what. In the end, he thanked us and renewed his subscription. That's the result.
That is infinitely better. It's a mini story. A client was unhappy. Sets the scene. I see the conflict. I listened is the action you took. He renewed is the result. I believe you now. I can actually see you doing it.
And notice the verbs I used there. Listened, thanked, renewed. They aren't complicated, sophisticated words.
That is such a crucial point. You only need a few simple verbs to sound professional. The source material actually calls them magic verbs.
I love the idea of magic verbs. It sounds like a cheat code for English.
It kind of is.
So what are the heavy hitters? What are these verbs?
There are 4 main ones that can do most of the work for you. Ready? Worked, helped, built, improved.
That's it, really. Just those 4.
Pretty much.
Worked and helped feels so basic. If I tell a hiring manager I helped the team, won't they think I'm, a bit junior?
Not if you pair it with a result. I helped the team save $10,000. That is not junior. That is effective.
Ah, I see.
You can build an entire career narrative around those 4 words. You don't need to say, I facilitated the optimization of the synergy.
Please don't say that.
Just say, I improved the process.
Or instead of, I collaborated in a cross-functional capacity.
Just say, I worked with the sales team. It's so much clearer.
It's funny because when you use the complex words, it almost feels like you're trying to hide something.
Yes.
But when you use these magic verbs, you're revealing the action. You're being direct.
And you can vary the sentence structure to keep it sounding fresh. I worked on a new project. I worked with a great team. I worked to solve a difficult problem. The verb stays the same, but the story moves forward. Simplicity creates confidence.
Speaking of moving the story forward, we have to talk about the parts of our experience that aren't so perfect.
The challenges.
The challenges, the hard stuff, the times we failed.
This is a really sensitive area for a lot of learners.
Mm-hmm.
They often want to hide the challenges because they don't want to look negative or incompetent.
And that makes sense, especially depending on where you're from. In some educational systems, admitting a mistake is fatal. It means you failed the test. End of story. But the source material highlights a crucial difference in English-speaking professional culture, doesn't it?
It does. They want the scar tissue.
They want the scar tissue. What does that mean?
They crave it. If you say, everything went perfectly in my last job, you sound like a robot, or frankly, like a liar.
It's not believable.
It's not. Interviewers specifically ask about challenges because they want to see your character. They don't care about the problem. They care about how you think about problems. How do you solve things when they go wrong?
So we need a growth formula for this. How do we frame a negative experience into a positive one without sounding like we're just making excuses?
It's a 3-step process again. First, introduce the challenge honestly and simply. Second, explain how you handled it, the actions you took. And third, and this is the most important part, describe what you learned from it.
It's the what I learned part that really changes the tone.
Right, completely. It turns a failure into a lesson. It shows maturity. It shows growth.
Okay, let's role play this. Let's say I missed a deadline. That's a common failure. If I just say, well, I missed the deadline, that's bad.
That's bad. It's a dead end. But now try the formula.
Okay. First, the challenge. We missed the project deadline because we underestimated the testing phase.
Good, honest, simple. Now the action.
So I communicated this to the client immediately, and our team worked overtime to fix it.
Great. You took ownership. Now, the magic part, the lesson.
From that experience, I learned that we need to add a 20% buffer to our project schedules for unexpected issues. Now, we never miss deadlines.
See how powerful that is? You aren't the guy who missed the deadline anymore. You're the guy who built the system to prevent missing deadlines ever again.
You're selling the solution, not the problem.
You are selling the lesson, not the failure.
And talking about growth like that implies the passage of time. You weren't the same professional 5 years ago that you are today. The sources mention the before and after structure.
Yes. English storytelling often loves a progression. a sense of a journey. And you can use simple time markers to show this.
Like what?
Phrases like over time, or gradually, or in the beginning. They signal a change is coming.
So I could say something like, in the beginning, I was nervous about public speaking, but over time, I practiced with my team. Now I lead the weekly meetings.
That's beautiful. It makes your experience feel like a journey. And people love to follow a journey. It connects us to you as a human being, not just a list of skills.
We've talked about structure, simplicity, stories. But what about that underlying feeling, that elusive thing we all want called confidence?
Is the million-dollar question, isn't it? What even is confidence in a second language?
I think most people think confidence means not making mistakes.
Exactly. If I can just speak perfectly, then I will feel confident.
But that's backwards.
It's completely backwards. The research and the coaching notes all agree. Confidence comes from knowing how to keep going when you make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's about recovery. It's about maintaining the flow.
And there's a specific technique mentioned for this called paraphrasing. I think this is a superpower for language learners.
It really is. It's the art of describing a word when you forget the word.
We've all been there. You're in a big meeting. You want to say stapler or quarterly revenue, and the word just, it vanishes. Poof, gone.
And that's the moment of panic, the freeze.
Yeah.
But a confident speaker doesn't freeze. They paraphrase.
So if you forget the word stapler, you say,
The thing that holds papers together. If you forget quarterly revenue, you say, the money we made in the last 3 months.
but doesn't that make you sound simple? Or
Yeah.
like you don't know the
It
vocabulary?
makes you sound adaptable. It shows you are focused on communication, not on a vocabulary test. It keeps the conversation moving,
And the flow is more important than the perfect word.
always. And remember, studies show listeners focus far more on your tone of voice than on small grammar slips. If you stay calm and you paraphrase, they feel calm with you.
That brings up a related idea, which is reading the room. We don't explain our experience the same way to everyone, do we?
No, and you absolutely shouldn't. Adaptability is a key communication skill in any language.
So if you're talking to a technical expert, maybe you can zoom in on the details.
Right. You can use a bit more jargon.
Yeah.
But if you're talking to a general audience or someone from HR, you have to zoom out. Give them the big picture.
It's like being a tour guide. You have to adjust the tour depending on who is on the bus.
That's a great way to put it. Being able to look at your listener, see if they look confused or bored, and adjust your explanation on the fly. That is fluent behavior.
Yeah.
That is much more impressive than perfect grammar ever will be.
Okay. So we have the tools. We have the mindset shift. But how do we actually get this into our bodies? How do we make it automatic so we don't have to think about it in that moment of pressure?
There is no substitute for this. There's no shortcut. You have to speak out loud.
I know. It's so comfortable to just read articles or watch videos silently. It feels safe.
It feels safe, but reading silently uses a completely different part of the brain than speaking. Speaking is a physical act. It involves your mouth, your tongue, your breath, the rhythm. You have to train the muscles.
The recommendation in the notes is to record yourself, which I have to admit can be cringy. Nobody likes hearing the sound of their own voice.
It is painful at first. I get it. But it is incredibly effective. Record yourself on your phone answering the question, tell me about your experience.
And what do you listen for?
Don't listen for grammar mistakes. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Listen for clarity. Listen for pacing. Did you rush? Did you use the funnel structure? Did you sound calm?
Or if that's too much, just talk to yourself. Explain your job to your dog. Explain it to your reflection in the mirror.
Pretend you are talking to a friend. That one trick changes your tone immediately. It makes you warmer, simpler, and more natural.
That's a great tip.
And you should know many fluent native speakers practice important explanations before they step into a big meeting. They rehearse the simple version so they don't get tangled up in the complex version when the pressure's on.
That is such good advice. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of preparation. It's about building that muscle memory.
The more you practice explaining, the more comfortable you will feel.
Yeah.
And eventually, something magical happens. You stop thinking about the English and you just start thinking about the connection with the person you're talking to.
And that is really what this is all about, isn't it? Connection.
Absolutely.
We have covered a lot of ground today in this calm little corner of the world. Let's try to recap the main pillars before we go.
Sure, I can do that. First, remember your experience is a story, not a list. Don't bore them with facts. Hook them with a simple narrative.
And second, slow down.
Slow down. Clarity is king.
Yeah.
Use that funnel, start broad, then narrow down to the result.
Third, and this is a hard one, stop translating word for word.
Think in ideas.
Yeah.
Just find the core message.
Fourth, use concrete examples and those magic verbs.
That's right. Worked, helped, built, improved. They are your best friends.
And what about the difficult parts?
Don't hide challenges. Frame them as growth using that lesson learned structure.
And finally, confidence.
Confidence is about keeping the flow, not being perfect. Use paraphrasing to survive the gaps when you forget a word.
I want to ask you, the listener, to just take a moment right now. Of all those things we just mentioned, which one resonated with you the most? Was it the permission to pause? Was it the idea of the magic verbs? Maybe it was just a simple reminder that you don't need to be perfect.
Whatever it is, just hold on to that one thing. Try to use it this week. Maybe just whisper it to yourself while you're making coffee. I worked on a project. I helped my team. Feel how simple and strong that can be.
Being able to explain your experience is such a huge step. It's not just about getting a job or passing an interview. It's about feeling like yourself in another language.
It's about owning your story.
And you have a great story.
It deserves to be heard clearly.
Thank you so much for spending this quiet time with us here on Fluent Mindcast. We really hope this deep dive gave you a little more space to breathe and maybe a little more confidence to speak.
Remember, this is a safe space for you. Keep practicing. And please, keep it simple.
We'll see you next time. Take care.
Goodbye, everyone.